Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Jonathan Roldan. I'm a graduate student in the Department of Anthropology.
And I'm Lydia Wolf, and I'm an undergraduate student in the Department of Anthropology as well.
So our project is titled Locating a Marketplace at the Ancient City of Lacamha, Mexico, using the configuration approach. Our introduction, first we'll introduce our project and what our goals are, explaining what the configuration approach is. Then we'll move to our methods and results, then going into the case study of Lacamha. And finally, we'll end with a brief summary. So, um, in recent years, market exchange has become widely accepted as a viable economic mode among ancient Maya people. But the understanding of the structures and systems still remain in its infancy. The goal of the study is to test how efficient the configuration approach is as a methodology in marketplace and market exchange research. Although this method is an integral part in marketplace research, not much attention has been given to it due to its limitation. Here, we combine the information learned from archaeologically verified markets in 14 different Maya cities, dating to the period between 250 and 900 Common Era. We then apply our results to the case study of the ancient city of Lacamha, Mexico, also known as Palenque, and to propose a potential marketplace location there.
And in 1998, Hertz created the configurational approach, which identifies a potential location for marketplace activity. This relies on analyzing architectural and spatial information assumed to be associated with markets. Prior to Hertz's work, a list of associated features existed from market research conducted in Mexico and Guatemala dating to the late 1960s. We refer to these as the traditional three, and these are in open areas, central location, as well as access routes into the markets. As market studies expanded and became more common in literature, the list of criteria grew. Hertz's original work built onto the traditional three by including that a marketplace should be adjacent to administrative precincts, be surrounded by walls or arcades, and organized in rows or sectors. Around the same time, Christopher Jones conducted excavations at the Cow's proposed market. The researchers proposed a series of new criteria called Plaza Plan 9, which consisted of a venue with secure and long-term storage, a plaza or open space, easy access, proximity to ball courts and water sources, artifact patterning, nearby midden, and soil chemical signatures. In 2010, Dolan and colleagues proposed a new list that borrowed from previous research and their own work at Shunshungamaido. They argued that markets should be located at large plazas, a paucity of ceremonial architecture, burials and caches, easy access to roads, low linear platforms at edges of plazas, rows for low foundations for stalls, no domestic structures, close proximity to amenities such as ball courts, wells, shrines, and/or sweat baths, few complete artifacts found in situ, and some evidence for the finishing of processing goods, such as macrodebitage. Originally, criteria were influenced by ancient markets in Athens, Greece. However, continued work in Mesoamerica helped to incorporate more local influences, and as more marketplaces were found in the Maya region, more features were added to the list of criteria or new lists were proposed. Leading to multiple approaches and multiple criteria, as a result, many researchers doubt and consider this method speculative. However, it has remained a fundamental stepping stone in the preliminary step when studying marketplaces and market exchange.
Since we're testing the efficiency of the configuration approach during the preliminary process in marketplace research, we're using the criteria that relies only on visual inspection and architectural markers. This resulted in a total of 12 criteria. We analyze if these criteria are found in all confirmed marketplaces. Then we apply the criteria to areas that hypothesized to be a marketplace, but resulted in the rejection of this hypothesis through archaeological excavations. A total of 18 previously archaeologically verified marketplaces were found, all dated to the period between 250 and 900 Common Era, and were located at the ancient cities of Chuchumil, Cobá, Kiwik, Sayil, and Yaxnoca in Mexico, Buenavista del Cayo, Caracol, Maxna, Seca, Xunantunich in Belize, and Motul de San José, Piedras Negras, Ceibal, and Trinidad de Nosotros in Guatemala. All for the exception of one area met criterion 1. About 70% of markets were less than 1 hectare, with a median value of 0.45 hectares for the sample. There were 4 markets over 1.5 hectares in size. Additionally, over half of these markets enjoy 4 entryways or were unobstructed. The majority of these marketplaces met criterion 4. Only 25% of markets had no distinct connection or were indirectly connected to a transportation artery. About 70% of markets met criterion 5. Only 3 encountered no evidence of stalls. The majority of markets did not meet criterion A. Only 4 sites contained a shrine that were verified through excavations. One of this, however, was dated to 1000 to 1200 CE. With no evidence of its presence during the time when the marketplace was in use. Because of its specific function, we corrected our results to reflect this second image, which tend to be more accurate. More than 70% of markets met criterion 11, about 40% met criterion 6, and only 30% met criterion 2. During the literature review, researchers at each respective city indicated if their tested area were found near water or ball courts. However, here we measured the distances to each feature to aid in defining what nearby meant. This resulted in about 50% of markets under 200 meters from criterion 7, with a median value of 202 for the sample. About 50% of markets were under 500 meters for criterion 10, with a median value of 395 for the sample. Only 3 locations was hypothesized to have contained criterion 3. However, storage units could not be differentiated from stalls. Therefore, at the moment, we categorize all of them, the presence of this feature as unknown. Lastly, researchers at 3 cities mentioned the presence of criterion 9. For this, sweat beds were located at the edge or under 300 meters from the markets.
Lacoma is located in the modern state of Chiapas, Mexico, and was occupied as early as 500 BCE, extending well into the late 900 CE. This city presents a perfect location to study market exchange. Recent excavations throughout the site suggest engagement in the production of textiles, agricultural products, and ceramic wares, as well as figurines, but were also active participants in the exchange system with other regions within today's state of Guatemala and the Mexican Gulf region. Additionally, its 3 population booms starting around the mid-3rd century BCE, starting in the 7th century CE, lastly, a continuous growth within the 8th century CE sets preconditions for market economy as proposed by Blank and Farger in 2010 and the contextual approach set by Hirth in 1998. A cursory analysis of all plazas was performed using the same methods as applied for the first portion of the study. This resulted in 4 potential candidates, being Encantado, Lemon, North, and South, and Picota plazas. All of these locations are plazas connected to the city's walking paths, are found within the central core, and have easy access to waters and ball courts, and it is only Encantado's plaza that is located nearest the known sweat baths. Because no excavations have been done at the edges of these plazas, we had to rely on visual assumptions for the following. They all share a low number of structures at its edges, making them readily accessible, and there are no ceremonial structures that are present, but there seems to be structures at key strategic access points at all plazas that may have served for administrative purposes. Lastly, structures that may have functioned as shrines could also be present. A secondary analysis searching if plazas fell under 0.45 hectares were under 500 meters walking distance from water and ball courts, shrines are absent, and spaces that have an unobstructed access was applied. All derived from the confirmed marketplace results and applied here to reduce the number of potential candidates. The secondary analysis resulted in the Lima North and South Picota and Piedras Boas plazas as likely candidates. Lastly, it is worth noting that the potential for sweat baths near all of these plazas is highly probable. Sweat springs are located at or near all of the plazas, a cosmological element that Mayas often use to construct sweat baths around.
When first proposed by Hirth, the configuration approach only had 6 associated features, but as work in our marketplace research grew, so did the list. This investigation found 4 criteria lists of associated features that have been proposed for finding marketplaces. While they all contain some overlap, their origins are very different. 3 of these features are associated with marketplaces, The application of this criteria list on both verified and rejected marketplaces yielded interesting results. When the list was applied to the verified marketplaces, it became obvious that not all associated features were fit with all markets. Instead, a large diversity in market form was found. Of the 12 criteria applied, only 6 were associated with markets. Unfortunately, this same criteria were also associated with rejected markets. Furthermore, the applicability of the configuration approach to LACAM Hub was ineffective. Many classes here share the same associated features. Therefore, if a market existed here, there must have been other criteria constraining its placement. Equally plausible, however, is that a market did not exist at this site, leaving future research to investigate other analytical avenues to understand the economic systems at play in this city. It may be time to start rethinking with drilled Maya planners and deciding the location of marketplaces. Thank you.